my gosh, I'm having my second watch with you guys. It's so public. I'm so emotional.
Oh, no, that's good. I'm so... Feel free to feel in this environment.
Was it lust or just good blocking? Was that moan from joy or mocking? The towel stayed on, but the tension was thick. Was it sexy or just a camera trick? From kisses to caresses, we're breaking down the yeses. Faking it with Ariel and Morgan.
Hi, I'm Ariel Lee Cohen,
Hey, I'm Morgan Smith.
and we are the hosts of Faking It with Ariel and Morgan.
We're two intimacy coordinators here to talk about the spicy scenes you see in film and TV.
Today, we're actually 3 intimacy coordinators because we have a special guest, the IC for Heated Rivalry, Chala Hunter. Chala Hunter is a bilingual intimacy coordinator, actor, and writer currently based in Toronto, Treaty 13 territory, a graduate of the National Theatre School of Canada. She has performed in theaters across Canada. She's currently working as an intimacy coordinator for Quinn Shepard's new show on Netflix, The Body. Thank you so much for joining us, Chala.
Yay, thank you for having me. Just made some tea because my voice is still kind of messed up from whatever damage I did. Just being so sick and losing my voice basically and still having to go to my days on set and talk to my child and, whatever. Yeah.
I feel it. I feel it.
Anyway, nice to meet you both. Can I put some honey in this tea before we start? Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
Go. Do your thing.
Thank you. 2 seconds. It's right here. I'm in my kitchen, so it's a small move. You can talk about my need for honey. I'm all good with that.
Great. We're so excited to have you here. We're huge admirers of your work on Heated Rivalry.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad to be here. I know it took a minute. There was some scheduling issues, but
It's fine.
it's been understatement quite a month and a half. Maybe just a little busy. Some stuff is happening,
Yeah, just a couple of things have popped up.
And also at this moment in time, I'm the busyness comes from great fortune, I would say. Everything that's happening is really nice and exciting, but it still is pretty stacked.
Yeah. It's still a lot. Yeah, I feel you. So before we get into the scenes we're going to watch today, we'd love to learn a little bit more about you. I saw that in an interview with Toronto Life, you said you became an intimacy coordinator during the Me Too movement when a friend asked you to work as one on one of her films. What was that experience like?
It was actually a web series. I don't know if Toronto Life misquoted that film. Not a dangerous misquote in this case. Just don't want anything to be quoted out of context and therefore misunderstood or something, especially within this realm and this profession and this show. But yes, I had worked as an actor for a long time, and I'd done a ton of intimate content. So nudity, hyperexposure, some simulated sex on stage. I think because of witnessing me in that work over the course of a decade and hearing me speak to it and how I handled it, as that role was emerging in this moment in time, she was like, maybe you'd be a great person to be in that role and support this project in that way. And I was like, okay. So I did a bunch of research, and then I was like, okay, I think I can handle this based on the content that was actually in the web series. I felt I could support what was going on with the knowledge that I had at that point. But as soon as it was done, I was like, oh, you could cause a lot of unintentional harm in this role if one was not very educated, in my opinion. I was like, for me, I need more training if I'm going to continue to pursue this. And I think that experience was pretty positive. The actors appreciated me, the director did, the producer did. And so that led me towards a trajectory of seeking out more formal training. And because I'm curious to hear some other perspectives, it's even just speaking to another IC is interesting. I've had a lunch with a couple of people recently. I'm like, wow, I love hearing how you approach that or how you work or energetically where you're coming from. It's just cool to hear.
I feel you. I've been lucky enough to train at a bunch of different places, and it is so helpful to get different perspectives on it. Any tips or tricks that they have, because there's such a wide range of people who get interested in this profession and they all come at it differently.
Totally. Yeah.
So how did you end up becoming a part of Heated Rivalry?
I did 2 plays with Jacob Tierney.
Oh, no way.
Wherein he directed me. at a theater, a very wonderful, wonderful theater in Montreal called the Seagull Center. I did a play called Travesties and then Noises Off, both very funny physical
I love
plays.
Noises
love Noises
Off.
Off.
Amazing.
We honestly just clicked. Artistic approach and I think the way our brains work and energetically we got along really, really well. They were both like very fun projects. We kind of stayed in touch on and off over the years. He became very busy, becoming extremely successful in Canadian television. I was working in production at that point as an assistant to showrunners and also like working as an associate producer and stuff like that. And then he called me. He called me because the costume designer mentioned to him, I'd done a couple big features with her, and she mentioned to him my name, and he was kind of like, "What? I know this person."
Amazing.
And called me and was like, "Is this for real? Do you do this now?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is how it's going. This is where I'm at." And he sent me the scripts, and I was deeply moved. They're incredible scripts, and it just lined up, honestly.
That's amazing. I love that.
Well, with that in mind, we're going to move into our scene work. We're going to watch a couple scenes from Heated Rivalry. We'll see Connor Story as Ilya Rozanov and Hudson Williams as Shane Hollander. Also, I'm just curious, have you watched the whole show? Because sometimes as intimacy coordinators, we don't watch the material that we worked on.
I know. No, I definitely did. I was so excited to see the cuts, but I've only had a chance to watch it once, which feels kind of like weird in the context of what's happening culturally. Like even my very close people have watched it like 3 or 4 times. I would like to watch it again because the first time I was kind of like, did that work? Did that work? Did that work? You know what I mean?
So context for this scene for our audience, Shane and Ilya are deep into their secret, emotionally complicated relationship while publicly insisting they're just rivals. Heated rivals. Ilya offers to make Shane a tuna melt while both of them avoid labeling their relationship. And for those who want to watch along, this is episode 4, titled Rose, at 21:07. The tuna melt scene.
This is so funny because I just want to say from the frozen screenshot that I can see right now, I was like, oh, I know where we are.
I love it.
Like immediately. Like I know exactly where we are.
Okay. I love that. Here we go. They're so cute together.
They're so cute. So he has his head on his chest and they're just like, I don't know, cuddling on the couch. This was actually kind of tough to figure out their body positioning because the couch was so weird and we wanted to make sure they felt actually comfortable so that they could like get into like the tenderness of this moment.
It's a great point because you could see like you could get a crick in the neck from kind of leaning that far
Yeah, like
down.
he had to kind of like be positioned in a way so that his head was resting on him, but that he could move into this next series of choreography where he's like, kissing down his body and putting his head in his lap.
What kind of barriers did you use here?
We had padded pouches, preference on the part of the performers practically. So now Shane is straddling Ilya and undoing his pants and manually simulating that. I mean, this is technically complicated. He's simulating now that he's got both of their genitals like in his hand. For people who aren't like really aware of I don't know, the intricacies or the specificities of like queer sex and specifically gay sex. Some people have written me and asked me what's happening here in this scene, to be honest.
Yeah. I've seen some people misunderstanding this as like simultaneous manual stimulation separately and maybe not having familiarity with what's colloquially known as frauding.
Yeah, which if you like watch that bit and really think about it, then I think you would understand more. Also because Ilya's arms aren't moving. You don't sense that his hand is doing anything, actually. Whereas it's pretty clear, I would say, in Shane's body that he is moving his hand.
I love how intimate this scene becomes because they're doing that act together and how close they are.
I also love that you could even see his musculature like in his neck straining as he's like sort of moving his arm. It was so realistic.
I mean, obviously the framing helps us tremendously, but now he's getting off because he's having a small anxiety or actually very big anxiety attack. It was so vulnerable because they said each other's names.
It's the first time they say each other's first names, right?
Yeah, their first names. Yeah, huge moment.
Huge
moment. The fact that those two characters don't say each other's first names until that point in the story is very intentional and I think speaks to how much they're holding back or resisting or navigating around the emotional connection that forms between them through their physical connection, through their physical interacting. And within sports and hockey culture, speaking someone's last name is like a way of connecting and disconnecting potentially.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
By breaking that norm, it's like they're moving outside of their personas and their identities as players or rivals or do you know what I mean? Like it's
Rivals, yeah.
certainly yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
truly. But it does
Yeah.
make it more personal.
I love
I was
that.
also curious, just because the connection between the two characters is so strong. I'm wondering if you did any kind of like chemistry exercises with them or any kind of activities, or if they just naturally had this chemistry and intentionality about them.
I for sure, I hope, supported it and gave them space to explore that and to feel confident and secure exploring it because
Sure.
we were extremely clear about the action that was going to take place. We were extremely clear what each other's boundaries and consent levels were. My goal was to like empower them to feel like they could take artistic risk and go as far with the characters as they wanted to because I knew they were both so invested in these characters and I didn't want the intimate scenes to feel like a moment where they couldn't continue that investment in a way that felt productive and at least reasonably like intuitive and free for them. Because you're always going to be kind of like in the technical mayhem of what it is to do an intimate scene, especially a simulated sex scene, especially one that's like technically challenging because there's so much to keep in mind. I know they did a chemistry read in the casting. So that chemistry is kind of like a testament to Jacob. And then I just tried to help support that great relationship and connection that already existed between them.
Awesome.
I love that.
Thank you for that answer.
So for the rehearsal process, was it a full day of rehearsal before shooting or half day that you had with the actors? Which, by the way, almost never happens.
Never. You never get a rehearsal.
I know. Almost a full day because we spent a couple hours with Francois and Robbie as well, one-on-one, but it was almost a full day. I mentioned certainly in my early conversations with Jacob that I felt that would be helpful just because so many of the scenes, they're all so specific and yet they all contain overlaps. And it's a lot of content. It's actually a lot of choreography to just like try to remember, you know? And to get there on the day and to have not had even like a small chance at it before having to engage with it with all of the other factors, dates of undress, other people in the room, lighting, camera, et cetera, et cetera. But Jacob and I agreed upon that really early on.
You can definitely tell in the specificity of all of these moments. The actors have been able to sit with the material. That's enough for it to be embodied so fully in the moment.
Well, to process it, like to literally have a body memory of that choreography, rough as it may be, so that when we got into the room, we could be like, oh, yeah, Hudson, you have to roll to this side. He'd be like, that's right, I do. And would remember, you know?
For those who don't work in film, sometimes we're rehearsing these scenes like 10 minutes before we shoot them. And the actors are a little overwhelmed with information, blocking material, and where to move their hand and when. It can get a little stressful. So even just having that time outside of the space where you don't have the urgency and the pressures of the filmmaking process to just embody that work, choice. Love it.
I feel like so often when we want to show two male characters like really connecting in an intimate way, it's usually through penetration because that is the most similar to heterosexual sex that we see. And I love that in this deep moment of connection and intimacy isn't coming from something that mirrors a heterosexual act. This feels like the most intimate act that two people with external genitalia can do. I was doing some research. My favorite description was like, it's like two penises giving each other a hug. And I was like, that is so sweet.
That's so beautiful and heartwarming.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, because of the way we blocked it as well, it was nice in that on this couch to allow them to be that how it placed their faces and bodies in proximity to each other. And
yes.
And I love that it surrounded a tuna melt. I mean, so
I know,
amazing.
people are obsessed with the tuna melt. You both likely know this. The like really devoted fans out there, like the tuna melt is a massive moment. The people who knew the books and everything.
It is so sweet too, because when you think about like Shane's character and how regimented his diet is and his life is, this is like a moment of indulgence. And the fact that Ilya knows that this is your favorite like cheat day food and I'm going to make this for you. And this whole episode is about them indulging in each other.
I know, yeah. And even just the actual like vulnerability or intimacy of making someone else food in your home.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know, within any context, actually, like includes some vulnerability as well, and is an offer to connect deeper potentially.
We should move to the next scene that we want to react
okay, cool.
to.
I'm ready.
Yes, excellent. I am too also ready. Okay, so this is from earlier in episode 6, the phone call. So context, still with an undefined relationship, Shane is on a phone call dealing with outside pressures while Ilya, feeling sidelined, acts out to pull Shane's attention back to him. Starting at 2015, and we'll go to 2237.
Yeah, Shane's talking to Hayden, his best friend. So Ilya is starting to touch his leg while Shane's on the phone. Oh, his inner thigh, to be specific.
What are you doing?
Look at the intention on their faces.
I know. It's a challenge. Okay, so Shane's back on the phone and Ilya is stroking his inner thigh to see if he's getting hard. He's messing with him, ultimately. Uh-oh. You failed the test.
Yeah, he's great.
Now I'm going to simulate oral sex while Shane stays on the phone.
The camera movement going up and down.
I know.
That's really great.
Yeah. The camera operators on this show are genius. So we've got some very emphatic simulated oral sex going on while Shane tries to stay on the phone. Some head grabbing, some light slapping, fingers in the mouth. All very playful. And then he pulls up his shirts.
Oh my God, his red face as he flies back out of frame.
I know. Great. Both of them committing so fully. When we were choreographing and setting the scene, we were like, oh, this is a really fun, playful moment. Actually, they're so comfortable. They finally have this freedom with each other. They're in a place where no one can find them. And they're letting their guards down more and more and more. And this is like a game in a way, truly fun for Ilya. And it's also fun for Shane, which is a reveal in their conversation afterwards. I think Shane says, why was that so hot? And Ilya says, because you like to be bad, which we could track that back through their entire relationship, actually. Ilya is really being mischievous in a way. And that even though Shane says, he's not into that, he is.
It's a different kind of intimacy to have that level of playfulness with another person because that's vulnerable.
Totally. Like he's on the phone, he's getting simulated oral sex, but he's also got this hand like all over his face, like fingers in his mouth. Like it's a bit not goofy, but it is like very playful, you know?
Yeah. And they're just experiencing this queer joy moment. And I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's right that it's like this queer joy and this playfulness and a teasing, taunting quality that they're able to engage in more fully because they're less worried.
Kind of giving boyfriend, because this isn't like behavior you would do with someone that you're just hooking up with or you don't have strong feelings for.
And even how they're dressed at the cottage. Like, I don't know how much you both have listened to interviews with Hannah Cooley, who's like amazing, but just that they like share clothes and are wearing like really relaxed things that we don't really see them in the rest of the show. They're kind of like presenting a bit more.
That's so true. And such a huge benefit of many queer relationships is being able to share clothes.
Oh, yeah. Jealous of that.
Ariel, you think you have time for one more scene?
I think we can.
Yeah. This is from episode 6 at the cottage. We're going to start at 32:34. This is the scene that I described as the first time they make love. This scene takes place at the cottage after Shane and Ilya finally admit they love each other and agree to stop pretending their relationship is casual. This moment marks a turning point where they choose each other openly, at least privately, before returning to their public lives and professional obligations.
I also have to just say before we press play, the amount of T-shirts I'm seeing that are like, I'm coming to the cottage.
Going to the cottage.
I know. It has a whole new meaning. Also, look at this sunset, right?
Beautiful. The imagery
so
of
beautiful.
sunset and light on this show is so well done.
So nice. Why not? Why not watch this sunset? Come on. We all need this more in our lives. Or I mean, I do anyway. I won't speak for both
we
of
all
you.
do.
No,
We all do.
there was something about this scene that was so healing for me. Just seeing them like finally like being together, wrapping each other in a blanket,
drinking hot drinks. It's the dream.
I know, right? Something I love about this scene is that it's like so tender and intimate and obviously very sensual, but it's also funny.
Yeah,
just their lines then are so funny.
Yeah, the director has a great sense of humor and the actors play it so well, so comfortably.
Yeah, nice thumb moment. That's maybe a callback to episode 1.
The thumb moment?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
You know? I didn't catch that. That's great.
I just remembered that we talked about that for this scene. Yeah, like a kind of throwback.
Was the thumb moment in the script as well?
I can't remember if it was for this scene, but it certainly was for episode 1. It was scripted.
Right.
Yeah.
So cute!
Oh my gosh, I'm having my second watch with you guys. It's so public. I'm so emotional.
Oh no, that's good. I'm so feel free to feel in this environment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a beautiful story, honestly. They're both such beautiful performers. And I just genuinely have so much love and respect for Jacob Tierney and Brendan Brady, who is the executive producer. Incredible person. Incredible producer. So nice to see your friends like really put their heart on their sleeve, basically, like so much hard work. That takes so much courage, actually.
So much.
At this moment in time, like just so much courage and like fortitude and confidence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when you work with these two actors, did you feel like structurally it was very choreographed? Was there a lot of improv? Was it sort of a generalized structure of the scene and they would kind of go from there, or did it depend on the scene?
I would say it depended on the scene. I tried to keep my approach consistent, even when I felt like they were developing more familiarity and comfort. I'm sure I made small adaptations, but I tried to keep my approach consistent just because I didn't want to assume that they needed more or less support based on just time on deck. Do you know what I mean? Some had to be very specifically choreographed. I don't tend to like micro choreograph things. I'm not someone who's like, and now your hand goes on their face and now you'll start breathing more heavily and now you will kiss them. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
Unless it's scripted or unless it's requested, I don't tend to set things to that level initially because I feel like my job is to ensure that things are specific and within everyone's boundaries and consent levels in order to enable artistic risk and freedom. Ideally, that's what I'm going for. And so I have to leave some space for that collaboration, for the actors to infuse it with their spirit, interpretation, character, how their own body understands that moment, because I'm not in their body. I'm not the one performing it.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Yeah. I love that so much. I think because I'm sure you know there is a common misconception out there that intimacy coordinators are always going to micro choreograph every scene and get in the way of spontaneity. And I love how you're able to articulate how even in a project that has so much specificity in the intimate scenes, there still is so much room for spontaneity and artistic exploration on the part of the actors.
From watching these scenes, is there anything that like comes up for you?
I think just like I feel actually so much tenderness towards the people, proud of them and impressed with their performance and glad that our collaboration was as generative as it was, because based on the feedback that they gave me as people, as performers, and also from watching those moments, they appear to me to be quite confident in what they're doing, and that the characters are really able to come through, and that the story and the moment in time and the physical simulated action is really being expressed in a way that feels embodied and grounded in a way that I feel glad about. Makes me feel kind of like tender and
on that note, oh, my heart.
So many emotions.
I love it. So many feelings. Yes. So at this point in the show, we normally do our spice scale where we rate intimacy scenes based on consent and power dynamics, technical craft and coordination excellence, and heat factor. But every intimate scene on Heated Rivalry gets an A+++. So instead, we're doing a sort of behind the spice where we get the intimacy coordinator's perspective on the scenes that they worked on. So we'll start with consent and power dynamics. I know there's all three scenes, but if you'd like to pick one, how the scene depicted consent and power in the stories. Like, what conversations did you have speaking to the director and the actors about their characters and about how the characters were consenting to the action, what those power dynamics were like between characters and sort of masculinity within that context?
We spoke about consent a lot in this process within the characters because it occurs as a theme throughout the show. Let's say in the tuna melt scene, there's fairly large offer that comes from Shane, which is a bit different just in terms of, let's say, leading a simulated sex act that is pretty specific and that they haven't engaged in before. Kind of like a bold offer, one could say.
Right.
I think is like an expression of him feeling more agency, more power, like feeling emboldened in that relationship. But also in terms of the context of the scene before that, Ilya's asking him about women. It's also a bit of a power move, or it can be viewed as a bit of a power move on Shane's part to be like, I don't want to talk about women.
Yeah, forget those girls.
Yeah.
I'm gonna express with my body and my offer here, like what I am interested in, or it can be viewed as a form of power to offer someone else pleasure, like extreme pleasure. You can see in their bodies and their gestures how they are articulating consent to each other, that they're like interested in continuing in the way that they touch each other or encourage certain things.
Yeah. And I mean, even in like the phone scene, we have this moment where it's like, I'm not going to get hard. Okay, I'm going to test you on this. And then he goes for
Yeah,
it. Like
exactly.
the power dynamic there is really clear and really, really funny and interesting there. They're on such level playing field so often, but because Ilya has just more experience in this, he's just a little bit more of an initiator in a lot of these moments. I love that. I love to hear that. You want to go for technical craft?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Which we've talked about 0%.
Yeah.
That was tricky to figure out in terms of having Shane straddle Ilya and then indicate in the way that they were framed that he is not only pulling down Ilya's pants, I forget if he was wearing pants or shorts, but literally pulling him out, and for us to see a bit the pants coming, but not fully coming down. And then for him to, as you say, like do an arm movement that's believable within the frame that we're in to show that he is stimulating Ilya manually. And then to try to find a way to frame it again where we understand that Shane is pulling down then his pants or shorts, I forget what he's wearing, and pulling himself out, and then getting his body close enough that we can simulate this action of frauding, that we like logically can kind of geographically make sense of it, to put all those pieces together and to also not catch anything that we don't want to see in frame, and to have the arm movement be not too big and not too small. And then they have to do all of this acting together, the intensity of imagining that physical action and the emotionality then of knowing that they have to say each other's name. It was a lot. It was a lot to like sequence out.
Yes.
And to try to like give reminders, like you actually have to do that moment where you pull your shorts down. Otherwise, we don't understand what's happening.
Yeah, the technicality of that scene is incredible because it does so clearly tell that story. And I think that's one of the things that really resonated with people is they could identify exactly what was happening in this scene. I also really appreciated how in the show, like, you find moments of levity. There's also moments where things aren't always like perfectly pretty. The tuna melt scene, I like that their faces mush against each other and you can see their noses like smushing. And I feel like a lot of times when we want to tell the story in TV or film that these two are meant to be together, then the simulated sex scenes all have to look gorgeous and everyone looks attractive the entire time. And I really appreciated that on this show. That wasn't always the case because it felt more real.
Certainly within my values to allow space in intimacy coordination for people to be human and to have the bodies that they have and the lived experience that they have and the individual subjective expression, therefore, of that intimacy that feels most authentic to them in relationship to their character in the story, whatever that looks like. Unless someone's making a really aspirational show and they, want me to help it look in a certain way, then certainly I can help craft that. But otherwise, I would say my values are more aligned with what I just described, like myself as a person.
Absolutely. Yeah. I also just, as a side note, just because we're on technical craft and coordination excellence, man, their faces were close to the inner thigh. Like that was some good distance. The distancing was done so specifically, and even just the muscle tensing, like the vein tensing in the neck, there really were just so many tiny, tiny moments of physicality that told the story so well, and I just claps for Chala.
You do have to get so specific when you're trying to make things, when you want the frame to be bigger, you want the frame to be wider, to be able to show more than, the specificity around where someone is placing their cheek or forehead or face, and also the kind of barriers you put in and the discussions that you have around everyone's level of comfort. In case the choreography isn't perfect, then you have a safeguard in place as long as the performers or the talent are comfortable knowing that that's the territory that they're working inside of,
Our next is heat factor, the level of erotic charge or sexual tension in the scene. We wonder how we're feeling about this. The level of erotic charge is quite high, and I'm interested to see sort of how you crafted those dynamics, because when you're working as an intimacy coordinator on so many scenes with the same two characters, like how do you keep each scene fresh and interesting and adapting to the changes in the characters? I'm not sure what my question is, as much as I'm just like, kudos that all the simulated sex scenes and moments of intimacy really had their own arc to them that felt different from the other scenes.
I think so often about how collaborative this role is, like the camera department, wardrobe. Oh my God. The on-set wardrobe person, my angel, the most amazing person ever. She helped me so much. And the director, of course, and the performers and prop, like just everyone. It's so collaborative. But what I want to say is that I think that's a testament to the source material. Very, very specific, well-written source material.
I also just had a quick question. There is sort of a divergence of opinions as far as authenticity of sex between two men or two people with external genitalia and the authenticity of Heated Rivalry. And while I think it looks phenomenal, some people are saying that it doesn't portray what gay sex looks like. Understandably, sex is different for everyone. For every person on earth, it's a little different, and it can look like many different things for different people. But I think that there's an interesting background to this because the original content is written by a woman.
The first thing I'll say is that this is fiction.
Yes.
It's fiction. It's a narrative. It's fiction. These are characters expressing all kinds of things, including intimacy, inside of a fictionalized world. At no point does this show portend to be reality, as far as I know. And the second thing that I would say, and I don't mean that as a defense, I just mean like, of course, it might not feel or look or be authentic to many people. That to me seems totally valid, A, because it's fiction. So there is some form of suspension of disbelief and narrative leeway and style and artistic interpretation and all these things that are at play inside of creating fiction. everyone has their own authentic relationship to and experience of intimacy and or sex. And if this doesn't feel authentic to some people, that seems completely valid to me.
Thank you for answering my poorly worded question so well.
No, it's no
fine. And I think that's what Francois alluded to in his response on Twitter.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I think the real issue here is not to dismiss how anyone feels about the representation on this show, is if we had as many representations of queer sex as we did of heterosex, then I think this would be less of an issue. We wouldn't need the few projects that came out to feel like they represented everyone. And I think part of the reason why this show resonated so deeply with so many people is because there was something in it that felt true to them.
That's a great point. Yeah, let there be more representations of many different undertold stories so that we just have more expressions of what may or may not be authentic to a wide variety of people.
Snaps for everyone. Great answers across the board. Love it.
All right. So we've alluded to this a bit. Heated Rivalry has had an incredible impact on its viewers. A professional hockey player publicly came out in real life. Ilya has become a gay Russian icon, and Shane has demonstrated the kind of love and intimacy a person on the spectrum can experience. How does it feel to you to be a part of a project with this kind of effect?
My gosh, I would say it's like the dream. For me anyway, in terms of like a motivation to even practice art in any form, is the hope that the art will reach people and either move them or create empathy inside of them or make them feel seen or raise questions. And so the fact that the show seems to be doing that for a lot of people is engaging a cultural conversation and pushing a needle forward on an element of society.
Is there anything you can tell us about the production you're currently on?
Quinn Shepard's new show called The Body. It's with Netflix. Felix Culpa Films with Gina Gamel, and also North Road Productions is involved. The show is really, really complicated, really emotionally and intellectually and thematically fascinating, quite thrilling. I feel super excited for more information to publicly come out of it. So I can talk about it more.
Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That's all I can say at the moment.
Yeah. Totally understand.
No, I'm looking forward to season 2. Once we start getting into that, and I'm taking a bit of time to like reflect, I guess, and absorb what has occurred, and to be grateful again, to be in conversation with people like you, and to feel like the show matters to people. That's really nice. Yeah.
It definitely does. And when you do season 2, we would love to have you on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, totally. I mean, it'll be interesting to enter into season 2 from like a totally different place, because when we did season 1, we were like, we're making a small Canadian show. And now we're like, okay, better not mess this up.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for your gorgeous work on this show. We really appreciate you talking to us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So nice to meet both of you.
You too.
Yes, thank you. We're so grateful for your time.
Thanks.
Oh, that was so cute. I love her.
Oh my God. She's awesome. She's so smart. I really appreciate how thoughtful she is in her approach and also in her responses. It was so nice to get her perspective on all of the scenes.
I really got a sense of what that set was like and what the communication style was between the actors, directors, production team.
I think a lot of people don't understand how collaborative this job is. And I think she spoke to that really beautifully. And when you have a team that works really well together, it shows in the final product. I love that we got to find out that there was a callback with the fingers in the mouth. The thumb.
Yes.
Yeah, that was so sick.
Let us know who you'd like us to hang out with next. We're very curious.
If you say it, they will come.
Yeah, if we build it. Field of Dreams, man.
Yeah.
Let's Field of Dreams this. Thanks so much for listening to Faking It. Morgan did this episode's research, and Ariel wrote context for the scenes.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. New episode drop every other hump day, Wednesday.
If this was good for you, the best way to support our show is to follow the podcast and leave a quick rating or review. It takes less than 30 seconds, and it really helps us.
Tell one friend who loves spicy movie secrets about us. Find us on social media at Faking It the Pod.
Want to get involved? Head to patreon.com/fakingitthepod. For just $1, you can request scenes for us to break down. For $10, you get bonus content and never-before-seen footage. And for $5, you get a shout-out like these listeners. Thank you, Lee and Kiki Brown. Today, we would like to spotlight one of our reviews on Apple Podcasts from Flavor Department, titled Listen. Funny and insightful. The hosts have a great chemistry and very engaging. I'm learning and laughing.
Yay!
Thank you, Flavor Department.
Thanks, Flavor Department. It's an honor.
All right. It is an honor and a privilege. You are a gentle person, and a scholar. Yeah, there it is.
Our theme song is Faking It by Suno AI. Credits for the film or show we reacted to are in the episode caption. Stay real, fakers.
Woo!
Woo!